Hey coaches, what's up? Derek here, back for another long overdue edition of The Breakdown. Now, if you're not familiar with these videos, or if it's been a little while, then I just wanted to sort of let you know that essentially what they are is a quick hit, me sharing some information about the world of skill acquisition and coach development with the coaching community. So in this edition of The Breakdown, I want to talk a little bit about skill periodization and specifically the SPORT framework. So this is a framework that was developed by a colleague of mine, Farrow and Farrow Robertson, in 2016. And what it is it's an acronym that covers off 5 high-level principles that coaches should consider when thinking about long-term skill planning for development purposes. I'll give you a quick overview of what the acronym is, and then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about Tedium. So S stands for specificity, and this is ensuring that the things that we're doing in practice match up with the demands of the game. Better specificity, better transfer. The P stands for progressions. So this means that we're looking at improvements in the athlete's performance over time, but also making sure that we're challenging them appropriately so that they increase their capability or capacity to perform different types of skills. O stands for overload, and this is essentially looking at the volume of practice that we're doing, particularly with respect to the cognitive load that we're putting on athletes. A lot of times we think about physical, but we don't think about how we're stressing them mentally. R stands for reversibility. So reversibility, essentially, if you don't use it, you lose it. But the good thing about practice is if you start doing it again, you can get those skills back. T stands for tedium. And this is essentially saying that sport can be a little bit boring at times. And if we're doing the same thing over and over again, we're not really getting the benefits that we could out of learning. So too much tedium or too much monotony means we're having some detrimental impacts on an individual's learning. Now, tedium's of particular interest, I guess, in this conversation because I was talking with a group of coaches and they were pretty much on board with a lot of the concepts that the SPORT framework covers. They said it was really nice that it helped them put a name to some of the stuff that they were already doing or things that they knew they should have done. And a lot of times if we can put a name on it, we can be a little bit more deliberate and a little bit more conscious about it. But they didn't necessarily agree with the concept of tedium. And when I sort of pushed them a little bit to find out why, they said, well, essentially if you're using specific drills, having appropriate amount of challenge through progressions and overloading people, so you're making sure that you're giving them the right amount of stress at the right time, then essentially tedium takes care of itself and you don't really have to worry about it. And I think that's a really great point and something that coaches out there really need to start thinking about is how can you break through the monotony of the things that you're doing? How can you ensure that you're not having these detrimental effects on an individual's learning by doing these mindless repetitions all the time? I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that you really need to challenge yourself to doing. Don't be a boring coach. Be a creative coach. Try some different things. See what you can do. And you don't have to worry about tedium at all. You know, I worked in swimming for a lot of years. And that's a sport where there's a lot of opportunity to do some really tedious work. Just think about going back and forth in a pool all day. But at the end of the day, the really great coaches I worked with broke through that by using these other principles and applying them every day in what they were doing. So I challenge you coaches to go out there and try the things that you're doing. And that's all I got for today. Thanks for your time. If you've got any comments or ideas or things you want to know more about, then just throw a comment down below and I'll get back to you as quick as I can.